How YouTube oyate Dakota Nakota Lakota. Okay. Shantel ashta dead wa here take. With a good heart I come sit here. Dakota yao chichi up there. I will speak Dakota to you. Maybe a little bit of covering what we have done so far. It's been 2 years now that we've been at this, and hopefully some of you that are serious about learning the language are learning from these sessions, and that is the whole purpose of what we do. Give you a little bit of language, daily language, daily talks, maybe the environment, maybe around your home, in your home, work, play, that sort of thing. Everyday words, everyday sentences we've been talking about, hoping that you will learn and use. But before we start, again, I will say Wochekia, prayer. Wochekia, Ateo Kantanka, Creator. To pity us and to help us in our journey to be who we are supposed to be, who He gave life to, as Dakota, Nakota, Lakota, Uchiti Shakoi. Shahine to Wochik Yokak Han, how do you open up the Hohechi took the Unka Ateo Kantaka, or Detchit. Ayotan Sampa Ichan, Ake Hoichichi. Unka Hadanata Kuki Awachin Hoichicha, or Dakota Pe, Nakota, Lakota Pe. Iapi, Dakota, Wichoch, Dina. Ake Duha, or Hemanipta, Yekiapta. Ake hina awachin ato akataka hoichichi. Achan petu kede tuwe. Awachin ye ka unshikida. O tawachin a richa de tachan. Wash agwichaya ye hechit. O bdoketu ofta kept. Wanetu amakanipt. Audina awayang hechid. Awicha dikta aya hechid hoyo. Acha ke Dakota Iapi do how here takap. Ade onki apo oki hun apo aya hechi. Ade upi de chichi do apetuk. A hechito ametaku as. And again, we come here to again speak the language, teach each other. Find importance in the language, importance on who we are as Dakota. Maybe you're Nakota, Lakota. Iapkin de, akin kikiksipt, sutayon haduzapt. Dena tokata kia wachiyapte. We'll take our language back, hold on to it, because in the future we will need it. Our takojas, those yet unborn, hinach ugi ichagapshne. Hina iya, ode etan hawoshteki ichupt. Hatan hawichuni ichupt. With the language, the young people, the grandchildren, they will find value in the language. They will find life in the language. A continued identity. Because who you are is your Dakota, Nakota, Lakota name and your language. That is who you are. That is your identity. We postponed some of our classes from last week due to circumstances. according to our protocols as Dakota, very respectfully, we postponed last week's classes. We had scheduled, the community had scheduled some events that were canceled also. As I say, with good reason. And I hate you too. One of the things that was of importance to Dakota, well, all Dakota, was last Thursday, Battle of Little Bighorn anniversary, 150th year anniversary last year. Greasy grass, Little Bighorn, Piji Sada. Piji is grass, Sada is greasy. 150 years ago, over there, Dakota traveled from Canada and from this area to join the fight down there. If you listen to the podcast, YouTube, they talk about the Little Bighorn battle. They talk about the Lakota, Cheyenne, Arapaho. But very little information about the Dakota involvement is spoken about. It's rarely spoken about. What the Dakota contingent did over there, Little Bighorn. Maybe I'll talk about that a little bit because it's who we are. It's who we are as Dakota, Lakota. Now, back in the day, what my grandmother told me about her father. Her father's Dakota name is Oyemakasa, Gray Earth Track. Sometimes he uses Wakpa Ioga, crosses the river, and other aliases because he was in hiding. My grandmother used to always tell us this story about her father and always cautioned us not to talk about it. Anyways, back in 1876 spring, before the planting season, Kunshi says, maybe late April, early May, her father, Oyemakasa, was in Canada, somewhere around Winnipeg Portage area, along the Assiniboine River. They had came up to this part of the country, Dakota country, after the uprising in Minnesota, 1862. So it was that spring of 1876, maybe late April, early May. He has a Hunka brother, a Northern Cheyenne brother, made brother. He visited where they were camped, my great-grandfather. They had a visit, and my great-grandfather told his family that he's got to travel with his Northern Cheyenne friend to Greasy Grass, Pijisda, that area, Montana, because Sitting Bull is calling all his scouts, his warriors in Dakota country. Something might happen this summer. So they traveled down there. Those two, my great-grandfather and his Cheyenne brother, he calls them brother. They call each other brother. They arrived sometime before June 25, 1876. Now, I'm not sure if they participated at the Rosebud Battle or not. My Kunshi doesn't talk about that. What she talks about is what my great-grandpa did, and that's that small piece, I guess, of the main battle that happened. She said that once the battle happened, the sun was high. You can hear the bugle on the south end. That'll be Reno's charge. You can hear gunfire. All the warriors, a lot of the warriors went down that way. Crazy horse. Gaul. Tashunka Witko. Pezi. They met Reno over there. They pushed him into the bushy area, treed area, and then they crossed the river. There, she said, they killed some of the Reno's men, hand-to-hand combat crossing the river. Mazakan Ihupa, the butt of the rifle. They knocked them down over the horse, off their horses, and shot them. On spada tomahawks, clubs, crossing that river until they got on that hill. But my great-grandpa didn't participate in that first charge or the first battle on the south end. He was on the north end with his brother and the Northern Cheyenne Indians, the tribe. She calls them San-Un, the Northern Cheyenne. San-Un, where's gray? Could be a paint or whatever it is, but she calls them San-Un. They observed another group of soldiers coming on the ridge, coming down. So that's where they met. And they didn't know that was the 7th Cavalry of Custer. They pushed them onto the Custer's Hill, as they call it. There the battle took place. And during this battle, lots of gunfire, lots of dust, whatever, all the commotion. My great-grandpa and his Northern Cheyenne brother, they picked one individual, advanced on him. This individual had either one horse, 2 horses. And he was backing up, and he had a pistol backing up. He'll come under the horse, point and back up, point, back up. About the 3rd time he came around to point, my grandpa shot at him. He fell down. Koshi said he rolled down a little knoll. That could be Custer's Hill. Fell down a little knoll. So my grandpa went running up there, grabbed the horse. That horse, later on we found out, was Custer's horse. That horse's name is Victory, or they call him Vic. He brought him up to Canada. He took his horse, and he saw the individual that he shot laying there. So he got his pistol. He checked the chamber. He was out of bullets. That's why he was pointing, backing up, until he got shot. But at that time, at that moment, my great-grandpa, my grandma said, he did not know that was Custer that he shot. Only later, when other warriors, maybe Lakotas, got there, they recognized him as Custer. So he took his pistol, took his horse, came up to Wood Mountain, Saskatchewan, south of Moose Jaw. He had the horse there. After Sitting Bull came up the year after, he saw the horse. He told my great-grandpa, you better get rid of this horse. This belongs to Custer. He also instructed him, if you can, get this horse back to Fort Abraham Lincoln, I think it's called, down in Mandan, Bismarck. He told my great-grandpa, Custer's wife is in deep mourning. See if you can get this horse over to him, to her. So he came this way with that horse. He returned with goods that he probably traded for. We don't know exactly where he sold him or traded him. But he went home with whatever he bought with either the money or the trade goods he took back to Wood Mountain that time. There is a historical society around Turtle Mountain, and Cyrus, I think, I forget the name of the Historical Society. But they did an interview a few years back, and they interviewed one older individual that knew that story back in 1877. A Dakota came from the west. He ended up in Boiseving, Manitoba. He had this horse with him, a fine horse. And the word is that this horse came off the battlefield the year before, and at the Battle of Little Bighorn. That was the story that came out of Boiseving. Was that my great grandpa, and is that Custer's horse, Vic? He had him there in 1877, if that was him. Now, that is the story that I've heard from my grandma. My grandma is the daughter to Oyamakasa, Great Earth Tract, and she always told this story. Mostly every winter, at night, she will retell the story over and over. But she always cautioned, don't tell anybody. Your father is still alive. Agents will come. They might arrest your father. So we never told anybody until my dad in his old age said, well, I'm old now. You can tell the story now if you want. They can come and arrest me if they want. But you can tell the story. So since mid-1990s, somewhere around there, we've talked about it openly, So that is the story behind who killed Custer. They hardly talk about it on YouTube or whomever, They hardly talk about who killed Custer. Now there's a couple of interviews that corroborate my grandma's story on her dad. I'll read a couple of them. One was made by an individual by the name of Charles Chuwiuksa. Charles Chuwiuksa is from Chanopawakpa, Dakota Reserve. He talks about a little bit of history, and then at the end, he talks about it. And he talked in Dakota, and it's written in Dakota. So I'll read it. This is what he said. After talking about life at that time, he said, Hehanataha wana wanietu 29 heaha wayochbeata cheskaki etahena hen pahi haskaska ktepi. Ktepik he tuekteki nahach makocheki den undo. Koskaki oyamakasa ichiapi. Atkukuki wakpa yoga ichiapido. Aya de woyakapiki dechen Iapi sahina obadakido. What he said is a long time ago. It's been 29 years ago. Now this is in 1906 when he talked about this. He talked about a time 29 years ago at a place called Cheska, gray or white cliff or mountains. Etahena on this side, Pehihaska Ktepid, long hair was killed. Who did that is still living here. Oyamakasa Ichiapi, his name is Oyamakasa. Ka'atkuku, his father, Wakpa Yoga Echeapido. His father's name is Wakpa Yoga. Wakpa Yoga is from Minnesota during that uprising. So that's the story of our Charles Chuwiuksa in 1906, 29 years after the battle. And here's one, an interview that was done in 1925 by a individual named Zahn is his name. He interviewed a lady by the name of Mrs. Big Shoulder, whom she claims that her father is Oye Makasa. Under the heading, All Yellow's Opinion, All Yellow talks to Welch, December 30, 1925. And it goes on to say, he also said that the man who killed General Custer was named Oye Makasa, White Track. He was half Sisseton and half Hunkpati, and All Yellow insisted in calling him Wichialo. He said that he never came back to the United States but died in Canada, and that he dressed up in Custer's clothes, and he had a revolver which belonged to Custer, but he threw that away. Yeah, my great-grandpa, Oye Makasa, passed away in 1920. He's buried in Chanumpakpa, Dakota Reserve. That's what he's talking about. So Mrs. Big Shoulder, what she talked about was this young man called on me this interviewer to Mrs. Big Shoulder. She told Zahn that her father was the man who killed Custer. His name, as given by Francis Zahn, the interviewer, is Oyechota. Oyechota is gray track, and he translated it as gray track. She said that he belonged to the Isanti and came from Wooden Mountain country, Wood Mountain, south of Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. They often called him Inkpaduta, Scarlet End, or Point, Scarlet Point, and thought he was a relative of the renegade of that time. He was in the fighting and came back with a sorrel horse and saddle, which was identified as that ridden by Custer. In the swirl of the fight, he shot at this man 2 times and thinks that he killed him as he fell then. He did not have long curls, but did have on a buckskin coat and fired with a white-handled revolver. So that was Mrs. Zahn's story about the battle in an interview in 1925. Pretty cool, huh? There's another one here. I don't know if I'll be able to find it, but there's a third story. A fella named Antelope. Antelope made a comment on the battle itself too. And I don't know if I can find it, but if I do quickly, I'll read it out. I think these are important for our history as Dakotas in Canada, who we are as Dakota. History is important. So I'm trying to find it here somewhere. Oh, here it is. Antelope is the one that was interviewed. Without hesitation, Antelope gave his answer. Gray Earth Track killed Custer. He was a Santee Sioux who came from Minnesota after the massacre. In parentheses, it says the Abercrombie massacre. Red End is Inkpaduta. Red End was his friend, and he was in the Minnesota massacre. They came to hide from the army. My father said Gray Earth Track did not know at that time he had killed Custer, but he knew the man he killed must be an officer because of the fine horse he had nearby him. It had 4 white feet. It had 4 white feet. After the battle, Gray Earth Track went with Sitting Bull to Canada, and somebody there asked where he got the watch and field glasses he had with him. Gray Earth Track said he got them from the man he killed at Little Bighorn. They're identified as belonging to Custer. How long have you known the name of the man who killed Custer? I asked. He asked Antelope. Antelope said, come on. For a long time, my father told me, many here know it was great earth track, but they were afraid to say. They were afraid of the government. So those are corroborating stories on what happened in 1876 at the Battle of Little Bighorn. Hardly talked about, but should be, because they're always looking for who killed Custer. And the old people here in Wipazokawakpa in Sioux Valley, old people here, they talked about a couple of other individuals from here that went down there and came back. One of the last names is Hechakashicha, bad elk, or elk from here. The other one is Kiewaka, sacred flyer or flying sacred. That name is from here. These two individuals, original ones, went there and came back. In Sioux Valley, now called Sioux Valley. So that's the story behind all the celebrations that happened last Thursday, Friday, down in Montana at the battle site. And I thought I'll tell you what the Dakotas did. That went from here to there and took part in that battle. A group from there off the battle ended up in northern Quebec. There's a Dakota Reserve in northern Quebec. It took them 14 years after the battle to get up there. They fought all the way until they got to that settlement in northern Quebec. There's a Dakota Reserve over there. So Dakotas played a major part in that battle down there. So I thought I'll just talk about that a little bit as we move into the summer, I know it'll be talked about a lot, so I thought I'll put that out there. That is so. That is what I heard from my kunshi, from my grandma. So today, it's all about who we are as a Dakota people, Dakota language, Dakota traditions, Dakota culture. Today is June the 30th. June is Wajushteja Shawi, the moon of the ripening strawberry moon. Tomorrow, Hachana, tomorrow is Canada Day, July the 1st. 1867, about 10 years before the battle down there, Canada became this great country in 1867. Canada was confederated, as they say, and became a country. So there'll be a lot of celebration tomorrow. I don't know if here in this Oyanke, in the settlement, Wipozokawakpa, I don't know what kind of observations they will do, but we will see. We will see Hachana tomorrow. What kind of celebrations that might happen here? It's a time for celebrations. United States of America, 250 years anniversary this year. 150-year anniversary of Battle of Little Bighorn. And tomorrow, 1867, Canada became a country. So there's celebrations tomorrow. So it's a year of celebrations for whatever it may be. But we're now wait to we're going to finish our wait to our spring. Ishto bedoketukte. It's going to be summer now. Bedoketukte. So summer activities, we always wait for summer activities. What are we going to do? Wait to opta throughout summer. What comes to mind is wachipi. Wachipi, dance. Wachipi. Piji wachipi, the grass dance. That's what they used to do a long time ago in this area, Dakotas. They mostly danced the grass dance, Piji wachipi. That was societies, security, warriors. That was their dance, Piji wachipi. Later on, the Lakota brought the, what you call the traditional bustle, one bustle. Later on, maybe in the 1970s, that became prominent. Before that, it was just Piji wachipi. Piji hokshida, the grass dancers, Piji hokshida. Piji hokshida. Piji wachipi, the grass dance. Piji wachipi. Today is June 30, right, Takoja? 26. Piji wachipi. Grass dance. Dance or dancers. Piji hokshida. Piji hokshida, the grass dancer. They belong to societies, okodakichie. Societies, okodakichie. And they used to do that dance. And nowadays, also a popular dance, they call the chicken dance. I think it's called in Washichu. How do you spell chicken? C-K, right? Yep. Chicken dance. You'll see these dances, different categories, throughout the summer at Wachipi. Tukter Wachip kaha. Piji wachipi. Chicken dance. This chicken dance imitates the shio, the prairie chicken. Shio, prairie chicken. Prairie. I'm not a good speller today. Prairie. P-R. How do you spell it? P-R-A-I-R-E. P-R-A-I-R-E.
I might need a pencil.
We can't spell today. Prairie. Okay, let's sound it out, Takoja. I got it.
You got it?
Yeah, prairie. Prairie chicken. Prairie chicken. The chicken dance. Shio. Wachipi. Back in the day, as my dad, my father, did the grass dance, Piji wachi. Then once in a while he'll do this chicken dance, Shio wachipi. My dad talks about how the dancers at that time, some of them would do this. Not everybody, but some of them would do this according to O'i Hambade. O'i Hambade. That's a dream. O'i Hambade. Dream. We Hambade. You can say it's dream. We Hambade is dream. O'i Hambade is the actual, the dreaming part of O'i Hambade. My dad used to say that some individuals, and there's a number of them in this community of Wipazukawakpa, that used to do this dance. They had a little bustle, and they used to do this dance at powwows. The main song for this dance is the kakpan, papi, the shake, and they'll come dancing and imitating the shio in the springtime, in mating season. The male prairie chicken will dance. They'll collect, if you can hear them, in the springtime. They have favorite places where they'll do the dances. And you can hear them. They'll collect, and the males will be doing their dance. And my dad was saying that some individuals that do this dance receive that dance, like spiritually, if you want to call it that, through a dream. And my dad was saying that the way he was able to do that, or was given to do that, was a dream that he had. Just for an example on what he's talking about, he said in his younger days in this community, there's a lot of hills, and they know areas where the prairie chickens will do their dances. But anyways, he said there's one morning he was out with his friends as a young man. He got home that morning, early in the morning or late morning, and his mom, my grandma, woke him up, and she said she was going to go to town. She was going to go to town. She told my dad, go look for the horses. Get up now, go look for the horses. Pahata, on the hills, Pahata. I want to go to town. So even though he was tired, he said he left. He went up the hill looking for my grandma's favorite horse. She had a horse and buggy. So while walking around up on the hills, he was tired. He's been out all night. So he decided to ishtima, uzikia, rest. When he fell asleep, he had this dream. You can hear a drum somewhere. And in his dream, he saw these prairie chickens. They're doing that dance, all in a circle. You can hear that beat. You see the prairie chickens coming. He said he dreamt like that. And that's when he was telling us that people that do this dance, chicken dance, prairie chicken dance, a long time ago, the young men, they dreamt about it. And they're given the right, the okay to do it. But you see that a lot in the powwows. Wachipi, Dehan, these days, Dehan, you see that, the prairie chicken dance. Waboga is the bustle. Waboga, little bustle. That's part of the regalia. Chade wait to ehang hippie. We are at summertime, so many of you, many of you will be going to powwows throughout the Indian country. So look out for these special dances. The prairie chicken dance, the grass dance, Pijiwa chipi, Shioa chipi, grass dance, chicken dance. It's always fun to watch. I like watching the chicken dancers. Nowadays, there's fancy outfits. And there's many of them now. Wichotapi, Wachipi. So watch out, look out for those. And then my mom used to talk about what you call the jingle dance, jingle dress. Jingle dress. Dancers. Jingle is khada. Khada or shda. 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 Jingle. The jingle dress was done the jingle dress was made and danced a long time ago, back in my mother's time. My mother was born in 1920, I believe. So back then, she knows that her mother, her aunts, and her tioshpa, some of them used to do the jingle dress dance. So that's probably 1930s or even before that they used to do the jingle dress dance back then. And those jingles that you see a lot of these days are the jingles made out of snuff can lids. They make the jingles out of that. Back in the day, in these days, early 1900s over there, what they used to use is the baking powder tin lids. That's what they used to make the jingles out of. That's what my mom said. And a lot of my aunt, I know she had one, and they're not as fancy as what you see today, because they had very little material to work with. But now there's lots of material that you can use to make your outfits really fancy. And that's what my mom was saying. She, as growing up as a young girl, she saw the jingle dress dance, and it was in their custom and their dances. So I thought I'll mention that we are while we are talking about history, and of course a lot of beadwork. Wajupi is beadwork. Wajupi. Waju. Waju. You can say P. Waju is just beading. And Wajupi is the beadwork itself. Wajupi. Back in the day, if they have access to beads, they'll do that. But most of the time, it was a porcupine quills. Okay, I'm not going to try and write that. Porcupine is the pahi. Pahi. Quills. Porcupine, pahi. And that's what they make the wapesha. Remember the roach that the dancers wear? Wapesha. It's from the pahi, from the porcupine. The quills they used to use for their decorations on their clothing, on their powwow outfit. Pahi. So quite a difference from back then to today. How the powwow outfit, wachi koyake, the powwow outfit. Wachi koyake. They're more fancier today. In 1860, ehana, wichoicha ehana, 1860. At Dakota, here, they went to what you call Winnipeg today. In Winnipeg, the beginnings of Winnipeg, there was a fort there called Fort Garry. The Dakotas at that time went to have a meeting, an agreement with the Indians, the Indians from Ontario. They've come as far as the Red River in 1860. They wanted to go meet them and the Iteska, the Métis, and the settlers that were there. They wanted to meet them, especially with the Algonquin tribes. My grandma used to talk about that. Kunshi hina iwoho dakache. Ehan ang he haikta ke ehan ang he ha. Dakota ke dena. Ashaya o pekagape. Uichak yakape. De wakpakin de wakpatankakin de chitahan Dakota makoche. De chita ya uptekahan wanya dakapte. Iapgap. A long time ago back then, the Dakotas went to meet the Algonquins of Ontario encroaching this way as far as Red River. The Métis were there and the settlers were there. So they had a meeting with them with some agreement on usage of the land on the prairies. They told them this is Dakota territory. But it was recorded in an early newspaper called the Nor'Wester. It's recorded in there when the Dakotas were coming. There's a contingent, maybe about 20 of them, I think, that first arrived, and the settlers are in an uproar. The Métis were in an uproar that the Dakotas were coming. There's a few of them that showed up first. They were greeted, but these Dakotas, the first ones that arrived, told the people there that our king is coming, our chief is coming. He will be here in a few days. So they waited, and sure enough, the main contingent of the Dakota showed up. They're invited into the Fort Garry, to have their treaty talks or agreements on how to share the land. And in the Nor'Wester, it was reported that when the Dakotas came in, they had buffalo robes. And when they took off their buffalo robes, they were spectacularly dressed, is how it was described. Beadwork, porcupine, wapesha, eagle feather. In 1860, they're dressed spectacularly as compared to other tribes, maybe, I'm not sure. But that's the word that the Nor'Wester writer was writing down, that they were dressed spectacularly. After the 2-day meeting, Ampetu num umanichi yohape. Ampetu is a day, num is 2, umanichi is a meeting. Yohapi they had. When they were done, they smoked a pipe and they did a powwow. That's the first time that the Algonquin Indians from Ontario at that time, Algonquin Indians, the Métis, and the settlers, that's the first time they ever witnessed what they call a powwow in 1860. The Dakotas were there, did the powwow. And then after the meeting, then they left again to the prairies. They're escorted by the military that was there at that time. And they did I think it was a 12 or that gun salute, whatever, as they're marched out of that area. So the Dakotas have been doing powwow since at least recorded history, 1860. They did the first powwow there at Fort Garry. These are the things that was told. Oyakapi is an announcement, they're being told throughout history. Who we are, untuepe, daunkotape. Nishnitue, who are you? What are you? Danikota. So hina kiksuya po, remember those of who you are. You're a Dakota with the language and the culture. And that is who you are, and also your Indian name. These are what is explained to us as your identity. Without that, without your Dakota, Dakota Wichoie, the language Wichoie, and your Dakota Chaje, name Chaje, without those, then you don't have an identity. You can call yourself, I'm a Dakota. Well, prove it. What's your name? Say something in your language. If you can't do it, then how am I to believe that you are Dakota? I don't know. Dakota if you speak Dakota and you tell me your Dakota name in Dakota, then you say, hey, yeah, there you are. You are Dakota. You just proved it to me. But if you can't do it, then who's to say what you are if you're telling the truth or not? So very important to know the language and to know the culture, the customs of Dakota. Ehana back and I vichoichage vikchemna akenapchionka maybe. I was going to say vikchemna noon, but 19 generations ago, Dakotas were given the pipe and a set of values, or some of them call it sacred rights. The values that come out of it, the laws, the constitution of Wacheti Shankoe comes from there. How to live. So close to 2,000 years ago, Dakotas were given that. And they lived a good life. My uncle says, Daya unyakumpe, we lived a good life. Many generations. Inunach washichu ahi. Then the colonists came. Washichu, the white person, came. Life was different after that, he used to say. The generations changed after that into who we are today, how we live today. These changes called assimilation, which could be good depending on how you look at it. In order to function in the society that we know, we chose this generation from there, this generations. We have to communicate in a common language, the English language. Yes, that's true. That's a corporate language. But your sovereign language, your nation language is Dakota. You have to speak that. That is who you are. And out there, in order to function, you can use the English language. So try to learn the Dakota language as much as you can, because you will be tested someday in the future, as I've said before. So that is why we are here. Remember last month I was saying everyday language. You're waking up, Dakota, you're going to think Dakota. What am I going to do today? I'm going to go to town, I'm going to go to work. I'm going to go see the doctor. Pijuta is medicine. Vichashta is man, medicine, man. Wayagabdikta. Wayazantipita bedekta. I'm going to go to the hospital. Pijuta vichashta wayagabdikta. These everyday language, everyday words, and there's not many of them. Remember, I was saying you might say 30 sentences in a day, depending on how many people you see, you visit that day. You'll be saying the same thing over, because that's the conversation that you'll be having with everybody that you meet each day. Hachanaka is viota sampa in the afternoon, chtayetuka in the evening. Same, yecheche, same. Oh, tokerion, how are you? Mish tayama. Mish is me. I'm doing good. Tayama. I'm doing okay. Nishto, what about you? Toked ya. Toked comes from toked kid. How? Toked kid. Just a shortened version. Toked ya. The longer version is toked kid ya. You might say, Wamazake, Makutu. I'm sick, I'm feeling down. Or you can say, Tayawa. I'm doing good. I'm feeling good. That kind of a conversation. These words that I've just said in the short sentences, you should know that already. When I say Tokarion, then in your mind, I'm doing fine. You can voice it, say Tayawaon, yeah, as a lady, as a woman. Tayawaon do, as a man, as a male. Yeah and do. You should know those already. If you know them already, please use them. Find a buddy, remember I was saying, find a friend that you can talk to. And then you can have a conversation, short conversation. Dakota Ia'a. Speak a little bit of Dakota. Dakota Ia'a wa'on. I speak a little bit of Dakota here and there. Dakota Ia'a wa'on. Dakota Ia'a umpo. Speak a little bit of Dakota, all of you, in Dakota territory, Dakota land. Those of you that are listening, practice. Because without practice, you'll forget. Avec tuje, I forgot. Avec tuje ye, the female will say. Avec tuje do, the male will say. So always practice. Iutapo, try it. Iuta. Dakota Iapi ibidutikte. Dakota Iapi language ibidutikte. I will try. Dakota Iapi ibidutikte. Dakota Iapi munkte. I will say it, I'll use it. Dakota Iapi munkte. Dakota Iapi tewachinda. I cherish tewachinda. Dakota language I cherish. I find it important. I'm going to teach myself. Nija, you. Ya. A female will say. Ya. The male will say. Ya. Wo. The two different ways of saying a female and a male. So these things, daily, we say the same thing. I was texting my friend this morning. Same thing. How are you? I'm doing good. Nishto, how are you doing? I'm doing good. Takto kano. I'm going to go to town. I'm going to go to Waichu. I'm going to go to language. Dakota Iapi Hichibidik. We texted like that. Tomorrow, I'll text the same thing to somebody else again that may ask. But what I find really good, valuable, is daily, sometimes long conversations, sometimes short. Some of the young individuals here, they'll say, how do you say this? Just like my niece the other day, how do you say ring and stuff like that, you know. And that makes me happy because now I know that the younger generation, that generation following me, my nephews, my nieces, they're learning the language by asking me questions. I would gladly help. And some of the different departments here in Sioux Valley, some of them might text me and say, how do you say this? I want to make this poster, like how do you say this word, you know. And I'm very, very happy to help wherever way I can, you know. So keep on asking questions. As I said one time, at the gas bar, one young boy, the gas pumper, said one Dakota word. That made me happy. So keep on trying, keep on using, keep on learning, build on it. And pretty soon you can have this conversation just like a pro, you know. But start. If you don't start, you'll never get there. If you're thinking about it, you told Dakota Iapi uspimichichik. I'm going to teach myself the Dakota language. Hachana. Tomorrow. Why tomorrow? Why not today? Start today. Start now. They were not dead. This second right here. Start. Otherwise, you'll never do it. Because your brain, your mind will convince you not to do it. The spiritual mind, spiritual person will say, you can do it tomorrow. Right now, you want to go to town. You know. Like that. You convince yourself not to do it. So I urge you to start today so that tomorrow you will learn some words. Even 1, 2, 3 different words, as long as you understand what they are. Like mini snina, no pop, mini snina, Pepsi, mini snina. Mini is water, sni is cold. That's not water, we know that, but that's what we call it. Mini snina. Woapi icharu, woapi ichare, woapi icharu, the pen. Woapi ska, the white paper. Woapi is paper, ska is white. Owa, right, owa. These are simple words, simple little words, sentences that you can use. Just like yesterday, magaju. Yesterday, chtani ha, magaju. Tate yohomini, the whirlwind. Tate yohomini, the whirlwind, the tornado. Kukap, it was coming. It was coming home. It's coming. Ku is coming home. Tate yohomini tanka, the tornado was coming. Was coming home. Ku. Ya'o taimpe, in the news, ya'o taimpe. Tateapakte, it's going to be windy. Nina magajukte, it's going to be raining lots. Wasu hihekte, it's going to hail. Wasu is hail. Minitankta keapi, the rivers are going to be full overflowing, it's be flooding. Minitankta keapi. Minitan is the fast flowing water overflowing the river. Minitan. Minitan. Tan comes from probably natan, to run, to go fast, and these kinds of things. Minitan. It's a fast flowing water. Iapi that's what they said. Iapi. Who said that? Who said that? Oyakapi. The news said that. Wo oyake. The news said that. We've been getting alerts on the phone. Iwakta oyapi. Alerted. Iwakta. Wakta is look out. Waktawa. Look out. Be careful. Iwakta is to make us alert of a situation. There's a storm coming. It's been beeping there for a while earlier. So, out there, Hechia, Dakod makoche, nakota, lakota makoche. Waktapo, be careful. Tateapakte, tateyu hominikte, magajukte, wasuhi hekte. Waktapo, wakan etu umpo. Be aware of your surroundings. All this week, next few days, there's going to be raining here. Magajukte. There's a big dam up here. They're going to let the water go. Menina takapi. Dam. Menina takapi. You ramped it, they're going to open it to let the pressure go. So the water is going to get higher. Menitankte. So these kinds of things. Everyday language. Use it, or you're going to lose it, as they say. So, a little bit of a recap from sessions before. Nothing new. Dakota techashne. Nothing new. Nothing new. Dakota techashne. It's all the same. So I'm going to keep on using the same words, the same sentences, until it registers in here, and you'll be able to say, hey, he's saying this again. Well, hello, you just understood what I'm saying, so please use it. Okay? So we'll go that far, and then we'll come back tomorrow. How's that? Washte, doshta hachana ake Wachia kapte. I will see you again tomorrow. Hey chutiro, mitaku epe Dakota makoche. How?